everyone. So there's a couple things I wanted to do with this channel. First, obviously, being the music reviews and things like that, which I've already posted or uploaded a few videos of. And the other being more of a social commentary kind of thing, like addressing the issues regarding like the feminism and all that sort of stuff. And I figured a good way to branch into that, transition into that, would be to do this little BuzzFeed checklist quiz thing about privilege to see how privileged I am. And that ties in nicely to some of the things I've really wanted to talk about a bit later, which requires some more planning on my part. So let's just get this started. I am white, true. I've never been discriminated against because of my skin color. I'm gonna say true. Have you, or I have never been the only person of my race in a room. True. I've never been mocked for my accent. False. I do have a bit of a, northern Canadian type of accent, which people have definitely commented on. I've never been told I'm attractive for my race. True. I've never been a victim of violence because of my race. True. I've never been called a racial slur. I'm gonna say true. Not that I can recall, so I've never been told I sound white. True. A stranger has never asked to touch my hair or asked if it's real. True. Because that's kind of dickish anyway. I'm hetero. I'm gonna say no. It's not quite the term I usually use. Um, I've never lied about my sexuality. I'm gonna say false. I've never had to come out. True. I've never doubted my parents' acceptance of my sexuality. False. I've never been called a fag. True. I've never been called dyke. And I've never been called fairy or other derogatory slur for homosexuals. I'm going to say false for both of those because I know there was at least one person in high school who thought I was a lesbian of some sort. I don't quite remember which term he would use. But yeah. I've never tried to hide my sexuality. False. I'm always comfortable with PDA with my partner in public. True, usually. Sometimes he wants to go a bit further than I would care to, but that's kind of irrelevant. I've never pretended to be just friends with my significant other. True. I've never been ostracized by my religion for my sexual orientation. True. Um, I've never been told I would burn in hell for my sexual orientation. True, because I really don't surround myself with those type of people. I've never been told that my sexuality is just a phase. True. I've never been violently threatened because of my sexuality. I'm gonna say true. I'm a man. False. I feel comfortable in the gender I was born as. True. I still identify as the gender I was born in. True. I've never tried to change my gender. True. I've never been denied an opportunity because of my gender. I'm gonna say false because I'm really not sure. It might have been a thing. I make more money than my professional counterparts of a different gender. False. I'm not really making any money, and when I did have a job, we were all pretty much on the same pay level. So, yeah, I've never felt unsafe because of my gender. false. I've never been catcalled. False. I've never been sexually harassed or assaulted. True. I've never been raped. True. I've worked a salaried job. False. My family and I have never lived before the poverty line. False. I'm not sure if like the family as a whole ever did, but I know I definitely have pretty much my whole adult life lived below the poverty line. I don't have any student loans. False. I've never gone to bed hungry. False. I've never been homeless. True. My parents pay some of my bills, or all of my bills. False. False. I don't rely on public transportation. True at the moment, though there was a year or so where I was living in a city and I did have to pretty much rely on the bus system. I buy new clothes at least once a month. False. Um, I mean, if I'm making money, I might buy like a shirt or something here and there, but I usually only replace stuff once it's worn out. I've I've never done my taxes myself. False, because I do them all myself. I've never felt poor. False. I've never had to worry about making rent. True, because I've never really had rent to pay. I've never worked as a waiter, barista, bartender, or salesperson. False. I've I have had an unpaid or multiple unpaid internships. False, because I've never done internships. I went to summer camp. No. I went to a private school. No. I graduated high school. Yes. I went to an elite college. Nope. State school all the way. I graduated college. Yes. My parents paid at least some of my tuition. Technically, yes. A couple thousand, altogether. I had a car in high school. False. I've never had a roommate. False. Crack in the voice there, sorry. I've always had cable. False. I've traveled internationally. Yes. And that was a very like lucky sort of situation. I travel internationally at least once a year. Nope. I studied abroad. Nope. Even though I've wanted to. I've never skipped a meal to save money. I'm going to say false. I don't know what Sally Mae is. False. I'm pretty sure most people know who that is, even if they don't use that company. Uh, I spent spring breaks abroad. False. I never really did anything for spring break because money. I have frequent flyer miles. False. My parents are hetero. True. My parents are both alive. True. My parents are still married. True. Though we all wonder why sometimes. I do not have any physical disabilities. I'm gonna say false on that one. Well, I don't know, I guess it depends. I mean, I guess I'll say true on that because I can still walk and everything, but yeah. I do not have any social disabilities. I will say false on that one. I do not have any learning disabilities. True. I've never had an eating disorder. True. I've never been depressed. False. I've never considered suicide. False. I mean, nothing serious, more of just like your average morbid curiosity kind of thing. I've never attempted suicide. True. I've never taken medication for my mental health. False, because I'm on some right now. I can afford the medication if and when I need it. True. Thanks to Medicaid. Glorious thing. I've never been told I'm overweight or too skinny. False. I had someone in high school actually come up to me and ask if I had an eating disorder. Because because I was just that slim. I've never felt over or underweight. Mm, Felt, because I do kind of feel underweight at the moment. I'm actually trying to gain a few pounds. I've never been shamed for my body type. False. I consider myself physically attractive. Meh. I can afford a therapist. True. Again, thanks to Medicaid. I've used prescription drugs recreationally. False. I've never had an addiction. True. I've never been shamed for my religious belief. False. I've never been violently threatened for my religious beliefs or violently attacked. False. Um, there's a place of worship in my, or yeah, I have never been violently attacked. Yeah, that's true. Um, there is a place of worship for my religion in my town. False. I've never lied about my ethnicity for self defense or religion as self defense. Um, ethnicity is true, religion would be false. All my jobs have been accommodating to my religious practices. Sure, I mean, I don't really need any special accommodations, really. Um, I'm not nervous in an airport security line. False. I think most people are, just because I've never heard this statement. You have been randomly selected for secondary passport control. True. I've never been called a terrorist. True. Nobody has ever tried to save me for my religious beliefs. False. I've never been cyberbullied for any of my identities. True. Yeah. I was not bullied as a child for any of my identities. False. I've never tried to distance myself from any of my identities. True. I've never been self conscious about any of my identities. False. I've never questioned any of my identities. False. I feel privileged because of the identities I was born as. False, because I really don't have any power that I can see. Check my privilege. 46 out of 100 points. You are not privileged. You're not privileged at all. You grew up with an intersectional, complicated identity, and life never let you forget it. You've had your fair share of struggles. You've worked hard to overcome them. We do not live in an ideal world, and you had to learn the hard way. It is not your responsibility to educate those with more advantages than you. But if you decide you want to, go ahead and send them this quiz. It's kind of I've forgotten the word. It's not your responsibility to educate, but share this quiz and make them feel bad about themselves. Is basically what that's saying. Like, yeah,